Xbox Game Pass gets celebrated for its big blockbuster titles, the AAA releases, the day one launches, the massive open worlds that dominate gaming headlines. But here's the part of Game Pass that doesn't get nearly enough credit: the indie section. Because buried inside that subscription, sitting quietly next to the biggest releases in gaming, is one of the most incredible collections of indie games ever assembled in one place. Games that won awards, games that made players cry, games that introduced mechanics so fresh the entire industry took notes. All of them available right now, fully included in a subscription most Xbox owners already have. You are potentially sleeping on some of the greatest indie experiences ever made, and they are already sitting in your library waiting to be discovered. Today, we're doing the digging for you. These are the best indie games on Xbox Game Pass that deserve to be at the top of your playlist. Let's get into it.
At first glance, Tunic looks like a cute little fox adventure. Then you find the instruction manual scattered in pieces across the world, written in a language you can't read, and everything changes. This game trusts you to figure things out on your own, and that trust is what makes discovering its secrets feel genuinely earned instead of handed to you. Combat is tense, exploration rewards curiosity, and the puzzles underneath the puzzles will have you taking actual notes like it's an ARG. Tunic isn't just charming, it's one of the smartest, most secretive games released in years. Go in blind, avoid guides, and let it surprise you the way it's meant to.
This is the game that shouldn't work on paper. You barely move, your character auto-attacks, and somehow it becomes one of the most addictive things you'll ever play. Vampire Survivors throws hundreds of enemies at you at once, while you stack absurd weapon combos until the entire screen turns into pure chaos. It looks like it was made in an afternoon, and that's exactly the charm. No tutorials, no hand-holding, just one more run syndrome in its purest form. It basically created an entire genre overnight, and everyone's still trying to copy it. If you need something to lose 3 hours to without noticing, this is dangerously perfect for that.
If you grew up loving Chrono Trigger, this is the closest thing you'll get to it in 2026. Sea of Stars is a pixel art RPG from Sabotage Studio, and every single frame looks like it was hand-painted by someone who actually cared. The combat mixes timed hits and puzzle-like enemy patterns, so battles never feel like you're just mashing a button and waiting. Two Solstice Warriors, a world under a rising darkness, and a story that knows exactly when to be funny and when to gut-punch you. It launched day one on Game Pass, and it's still one of the most criminally underrated RPGs on the service. If turn-based combat ever bored you, this fixes that completely.
Picture this. You're the size of an ant standing in your own backyard, and every blade of grass is a skyscraper. Grounded shrinks you down and throws you into a world where spiders are apex predators, and a single ladybug fight feels like a boss battle. You craft weapons from bark and pebbles, build bases in soda cans, and survive against a backyard that suddenly wants you dead. Obsidian didn't stop there either. Grounded 2 just landed in early access. Bigger map, new mounts called buggies, and it's on Game Pass from day one too. Co-op turns this into one of the most chaotic, genuinely funny survival games you can play with friends right now.
Imagine dying over and over, and somehow getting stronger every single time you fail. That's Dead Cells in one sentence. It's a roguelite, where the castle rearranges itself every run, your build changes completely based on what you find, and no two attempts ever feel the same. The combat is fast, fluid, and punishing in the best way. One careless dodge, and you're starting over from scratch. Years after launch, it's still getting content, still getting balanced, still pulling players back in. If you like games that punish you but never feel unfair about it, Dead Cells will eat your evenings whole. It's one of the tightest action games on Game Pass. Full stop. On the surface, it's a girl climbing a mountain. Underneath that, it's one of the most honest games ever made about anxiety, self-doubt, and just deciding to keep going anyway. The platforming is razor precise. Every death is your fault, and somehow that makes it more satisfying, not less. Madeline's story hits different once you realize the mountain was never really the point. It's short, it's replayable, and the soundtrack alone is worth the download. Celeste proved indie games could be brutally hard and emotionally devastating at the same time, and almost nothing since has matched it. If you want a game that respects you enough to let you fail, this is it.
6 years of memes, waiting, and people losing their minds over a single trailer, and Silksong actually delivered. You play as Hornet this time. Faster, sharper, and dropped into a whole new kingdom called Farloom that's even more brutal than Hollow Nest ever was. It launched day one on Game Pass, sold over 7 million copies almost instantly, and Team Cherry is already rolling out a free expansion called Sea of Sorrow. This isn't a reskin of the first game. It's meaner, moves quicker, and expects you to keep up. If Hollow Knight broke you a little, Silksong will finish the job. Easily one of the best exclusives sitting on the service right now.
Before there was Silksong, there was this. Hollow Knight drops you into Hallownest, a crumbling underground kingdom of bugs, ghosts, and forgotten kings. And it doesn't hold your hand for a second. You'll die, you'll get lost, you'll fall in love with it anyway. The hand-drawn art still looks better than games made 5 years after it. And the boss fights will humble you no matter how good you think you are. This is the game that made Metroidvania a genre people actually search for. If you've somehow never played it, Game Pass has 0 excuses left for you. Start here before you touch the sequel.
Four Dwarves, a mining company that clearly doesn't care if you live, and caves that collapse in on themselves as you dig through them. Deep Rock Galactic is co-op done right. Every class actually matters, every mission is procedurally generated, and the chaos of digging into a bug-infested cave with 3 friends never gets old. It's got that rare mix of genuine tension and pure comedy, especially the second someone yells, "Rocket Stone!" and everyone has to yell it back. Years after launch, it's still getting new seasons and content, and the community around it is one of the most wholesome in gaming. If you want co-op chaos with actual depth behind it, this belongs at the top of your list.
This is the game that broke the internet overnight. Millions of players within days, servers melting, and a very obvious wait. Are those Pokemon with guns? Conversation everywhere online. Palworld mixes creature collecting with full survival crafting, base building, and combat that lets your captured pals fight, farm, and even work your factory lines for you. It's chaotic, it's a little unhinged, and it somehow makes forcing adorable creatures to run assembly lines genuinely hilarious instead of dystopian. It landed day one on Game Pass and became one of the platform's biggest breakout hits almost instantly. Whatever you think going in, Palworld is far deeper and funnier than the memes gave it credit for.
The ocean has never been this terrifying, and there isn't a single gun in the entire game. Subnautica drops you on an alien planet that's almost completely underwater, and your only real goal is survival. Build a base, craft gear, and figure out what's living in the deep before it figures out where you are. The further down you go, the more the game starts messing with your head, using pure sound design and scale to scare you instead of jump scares. It's one of those rare survival games where exploration itself feels like the main threat. Years after release, Subnautica is still one of the most immersive, unsettling worlds you can lose yourself in on Game Pass.
There's no combat here, no enemies, no health bar, just you, a mountain, and the quiet decision to keep climbing. Jusant strips everything down to pure movement, using both control sticks to grip and pull yourself up a massive tower in a world that's run dry of water. It sounds simple until you're mid-climb, stamina draining, wind picking up, and every handhold suddenly matters. The atmosphere does most of the storytelling, environmental details, a strange little creature riding along with you, and a sense of scale that makes you feel genuinely small. Jusant launched day one on Game Pass, and it's proof that not every great game needs a weapon in your hand. Few games make you cry and then immediately ask you to platform through a boss chase seconds later, but Ori pulls it off effortlessly. Will of the Wisps follows up the first Ori game with a bigger world, deeper combat, and animation so fluid it barely looks like a video game. Every area feels handcrafted. Every ability you unlock opens up paths you didn't even notice before, and the emotional beats hit harder than most AAA stories manage. Moon Studios built something that's equal parts beautiful and genuinely difficult when it needs to be. If you want a Metroidvania that prioritizes heart just as much as gameplay, this is the one to fall in love with.
Escaping the underworld has never looked or felt this good. Hades puts you in control of Zagreus, the son of the god of death himself, fighting his way out through ever-changing rooms filled with Greek mythology's greatest hits. Every run gives you different god-blessed powers. Every death actually moves the story forward instead of resetting it. And the voice acting is genuinely some of the best in gaming. Supergiant nailed the loop so well that even losing feels like progress. And now that Hades 2 has fully launched and landed on Game Pass as well, you've basically got two masterpieces from the same universe sitting in your library. Start with the original. It's still one of the best roguelikes ever made.
Somehow, a poker-themed deck builder became one of the most talked about games of the decade. And once you play it, you get why. Balatro takes poker hands, jokers, and scoring multipliers and turns them into a roguelike that's borderline impossible to put down. Every run, you're chasing bigger and bigger numbers, stacking synergies that spiral out of control in the best way. It's simple enough to learn in 5 minutes and deep enough that people are still finding new strategies. This is the definition of just one more run done right, built almost single-handedly by one developer. If numbers going up gives you that itch, Balatro will wreck your sleep schedule completely.